Yo, what's up guys? So today I'm just doing a video diving a little bit deeper into Phase 2 BIS for Rep Paladin in PvP. We'll look at the blue PvP set and compare it to the 5-piece Tier 1 with 2-piece Judgment you get from raiding, and just see the differences in the stats. I do think the blue PvP set is very nice, but there's some key differences with both setups. So just hopping right in, I have 6-piece PvP set on this setup. I think if you're running the PvP set, for at least the blue version, you should be running all 6 pieces, just because you get that plus 20 stam, and it's just so big. Like, you could just go 4-piece, but just missing that plus 20 stam, I feel like there's no point in running it if you're not running the plus 20 stam bonus. And then everything else, I pretty much just dungeon gear, and then the only raid piece is Onyxia Tooth Pendant, but it's very nice for PvP. It gives you a lot of crit. Another thing you can change out, so I have on this setup, I use Vambraces of the Sadist, which is a 1% crit, and then it gives you some stats, nothing crazy. And then Omok's Girth Restrainer also gives you some stats, and then 1% crit. You could change both those pieces out for Lawbringer if you wanted to, just to give yourself a little bit more mana, and I think you get slightly more health, but your health is okay. You have more health on the other setup, but this one's okay. The only buff I'm going to look at is Blessing of Kings. So that puts you at 4.9k health with 3.2k mana. Your mana is a little bit lower on the setup, but you go all the way up to 19.2% crit, which is pretty nice. You're sitting right under 20%. Would be nice to hit 20%, but all this gear is fairly easy to get, except for probably Dragon's Blood Cape. But if you don't have that, I would say just use this because it has Stam, Agi, and Strength on it, and it would actually boost your health. No, your health would go down a little bit, I think, but you have more crit with this too. So it's like, if you can't get Dragon Blood Cape because it has a lot more stamina, you can go with this. And then the other good thing about using the blue PvP set is, let me go to spell. You have actual spell damage with this setup. Like, you have way more, which does help your damage slightly, but it's nothing major. Like, a lot of people think that you need a lot of like strength and spell power on a paladin, but honestly, like, sitting at 291, you're chilling. Like, you have so much strength, like, your damage is gonna be nice. And the other thing, you're not really like one-shotting a whole lot with Reckoning right now, with like in Phase 2 anyways. You're like getting close, but a lot of the time your rec bombs are probably going to take people down to like 80%, 90%. Sometimes you'll one-shot, and then more tanky people like warriors and stuff, like, you're probably only going to do like half their health, maybe if you're lucky, like 60-70%. But yeah, and like both of these setups have the same talent. It's just Reckoning. But yeah, the stats aren't bad. So it's like, I would say if you don't have a lot of time to raid, but you still want like a decent setup, you can go for the blue PvP set, get your Don Julio's Band, get your Unstoppable Force, just use the Vambraces, the Sadist, Omok's Girth Restrainer, and then try your best to just find a raid that lets you get Onyxia Tooth Pendant, or just run your own. Ani's pretty easy. The hardest part of Ani is just setting up a group and filling it. It takes longer than the actual fight, but Ani Tooth Pendant, I would say, is pretty easy overall to get. And then everything else, all this other gear, just comes out of dungeons. So it's like, if you want a decent PvP setup for Phase 2, just off the rip, this is your setup right here. Now, this is the other setup. So if you can manage to get your hands on 5-piece Lawbringer, and then Judgment, Legs, and Head, everything else is about the same, except you're using Lawbringer, Bracers, and Belt to get that 5-piece, and then you're using Stronghold Gauntlets with whatever enchant you want to give you more damage with your Reckoning. And then the other key differences, I would say, or the key differences with this setup would be, you don't really have a lot of spell damage. You're sitting at like, what, like 80 less spell damage, but you have about the same, a little less spell healing. But your stats are looking pretty nice. Like, you have a lot of stamina, a lot of int, decent strength, unbuffed. Then you're sitting at 17.8 crit unbuffed. When you're fully buffed, you're at 5.1k health, 4.4k mana. You have like over 1,000 more mana, and that actually helps you sustain in fights. I think early on in like phase 2, you're not doing a lot of one-shotting, so it's good to just be able to sustain in fights. Like when I fight warriors a lot, I'll start with my two-hand and then switch to my one-hand shield after I do like a good burst on them, and then use my heals to kind of help me. I'll like hodge them and then like bandage up or whatever, like cast a few heals. Your bubble comes in handy. So this is just a very like durable, like tanky setup. And again, if you can't get Dragon's Blood Cape, like me personally, it's gonna be hard to get that piece specifically, but everything else is pretty in reach. And I'll give a little character update on like how far along my character is to full BIS, because I'm getting closer. It's getting there, boys. But yeah, so there's two different setups. The key differences really is if you run the blue PvP setup, you have less max stat, but you have more spell damage, and then slightly more strength, but you have a lot more stamina and a lot more magic or mana on the tier 1, tier 2 setup. So it gives you a little bit more sustainability, and I believe you actually have more armor on this setup too. So it's like, it's kind of nice. And then you also have a lot of shadow resist. Like I've actually been killing a lot of shadow priests lately just because I have so much shadow resist. When I fight a shadow priest, I just throw shadow aura up and I'm sitting at over 100, just normal, not even trying to build into it really, but just over 100 shadow resist, just chilling, you know? And like I resist fears constantly and just other stuff, and I just whittle them down. It's cool. There's still those really like good shadow priests that are geared that fuck me up, but you know, I would say if you want, like, if you don't have a lot of time to raid, just do the blue PvP setup. If you can get your hands on any of this gear, I think this setup might be slightly better, but they're both pretty good. And this is just purely for like phase 2 BIS, you know, before Blackwing Lair. Everything's going to change next phase, and I'll go over some videos for that too whenever that drops. But yeah, I'm going to just show you my progression on my character so far, like where I'm at. All right, so this is my progress with my character so far in phase 2. And yeah, I'm just out here in Felwood, just farming gold. Pretty much when I'm not streaming, I'm just farming gold and stuff. So I do have Judgment's Crown. I don't have my enchant on it yet. I'm using this right now. I've been trying to get fucking Oni Tooth Pendant, but I'm lazy and don't want to start my own raid. I just needed to do that already. I do have Lawbringer Spalders. I need to get those enchanted because we have the tier 2, or not tier 2, phase 2 enchants for the shoulders came out for Argent Dawn, so I need to go get those. Hell Moon Cloak, that's what I'm using right now. This cloak's pretty nice because you get the 10 shadow resist, and then I added 10 more shadow resist on top of it. That's the only thing that I'm really stacking with that, and I'll probably put shadow resist on these too. Kind of sick. I have plus 100 health on my Lawbringer chest guard. You could do plus 4 stats. I just prefer to have more health. Lawbringer bracers. So I'm using death grips. I need to upgrade these to the stronghold gauntlets. We got Lawbringer belt. I've been trying to get judgment legs, so they just haven't dropped yet. We got Lawbringer boots to complete the 5-piece Lawbringer, so we're done with that. Don Julio's band, I need to upgrade this to a Myrmidon signet when I get the chance, but I'm not, it's like low priority because the stats are like really close. It's like 1 more stamina, like 4 more agi, and like 4 more strength or something like that. And then I don't have Hodge yet, sadly. I need to go farm that out. I was doing some runs last night, but no luck. So yeah, I'm just rocking these right now, and then every once in a while I'll like throw on like my Mark of the Chosen if my insignia is on cooldown. But yeah, that's my character update pretty much. That's pretty much all I got for this video. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out a lot. Let me know where you are in terms of gear in Classic Era Fresh. Pretty much all I got. Thanks for watching the video. Peace, boys.